How do you snap out of a bad state? How do you shift out of a lack state or a negative state or whatever you want to call it? That is what we're going to talk about today in this video. And this is a big topic, and I can honestly ramble on a lot about it. I don't know yet how long this video is, but you can look at the time and see how long I end up rambling about this. But it is big, and so today we are going to tackle it. But before we jump into all of that, I should introduce myself. My name is Genevieve, and on this channel, we are obviously talking about manifestation and in particular, law of assumption. And I always like to say I'm the kind of coach that tries to give more in-depth, I guess, explanations of the topics that we talk about, because it's technically not wrong to keep it simple and persist. That's actually probably better if you can do that. But a lot of you who are manifesting, you have some complex maybe emotions that are coming up or whatever, and to simply be told to just persist, it doesn't always feel like enough. It's not always the most helpful thing you need in the moment to actually facilitate a shift in your state of being. So yeah, anyway, so today I'm going to try to give you a little bit more in-depth explanation from my own perspective about obviously this topic today, which is shifting out of a negative state. So let's jump into it. Although before we jump into it, there are links, of course, on YouTube. Of course, there's links in the description to do either one-on-one coaching with me or to go to my Instagram, which is the primary platform I have most of my manifestation content on. Before I came to YouTube, I was just on Instagram. So there's lots of stuff over there. If you haven't found me on there yet, go follow over there and look at all my reels and slides and things. I also have a meditation for helping you get into the wish fulfilled. So if it's for specifically those of you who are manifesting a male SP. So that is also linked below if you want to go get that. Okay, now we can jump right into it. All right, you have found yourself in a negative state. And what does that mean? That means that you are feeling any form of lack, any form of negative emotion like anxiety, anger, sadness, grief, whatever. You're feeling some emotions, and typically for a lot of you, when you feel those big emotions come on, you also tend to have habitual thoughts, habitual thought meanings and assumptions that are connected to those feeling states that you go into. So let's say you have entered into one of those states. Let's say you're angry. Let's say you're like super pissed at your specific person today. And you are so angry, you feel like you never get what you want, you feel like you've been doing this a long time or something, and you feel like, why hasn't anything changed? And you just can't seem to help but just feel like you're just in a state of anger and maybe some victimhood or whatever it is. Yeah, that happens, especially for people who have, again, been manifesting a long time and they are trying to force things. But that's another topic, another video. But today we're talking about how to shift out of that state. If you found yourself in that, the very first thing that you really need to do is accept that you are in that state. That is so imperative and important, and I get that it is one of those, again, paradoxes of manifestation. But the more you feel that state come on, that anger and that disbelief in your SP and all those thoughts that come with that reality, the more you are resistant to it because you're like, oh no, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm failing at manifesting. I need to get out of this. Oh my God, how do I get out? And the more you're like really reacting to it, that is what gives that state creation power. It's not just the thoughts and feelings on their own that really create that much. It's what you make it mean. So with that said, I feel like I need to segue into touching on this operant power thing again, because that is so key. If you haven't fully got, and I know it takes time to build a relationship with yourself as the operant power, but you need to keep reminding yourself of what that means. So you, as the operant power, you are I am. You are not any of the different states that you could enter, but you have the option because you are I am. What is I am? It's the greater consciousness. It is God. It is all creation. You are the great I am who has manifested yourself into this temporary physical experience to have an interesting, again, just interesting options for experience. And you are not any of the states, not even the wish-fulfilled state. You are simply seeing a bevy of options before you. I could be a victim today. I could play that role. I could be a hero today. I could be a lover tomorrow. I can play any role I want, because as the operant power, that's what you really know, that everything is just options for you in terms of what you can choose to experience, what you can choose to believe in, what role you want to play in this physical lifetime that you're currently experiencing. And because you are not any of those roles, but you are a greater eternal consciousness. You are a part of everything, and everything is you. This is also why the everyone is you pushed out thing, why that works, is because you are not separate. You're having a temporary experience of separateness in terms of this physical body that you have. It feels singular. It feels separate. It feels, just separate. This illusion of separateness is part of why you chose to come to this earth plane, or whatever you want to call it. I know I'm getting really into the spiritual aspects of things, but that is what makes you I am, is you have been manifested into a sovereign, temporary physical state where you have total sovereignty over this experience. I'm pointing to me because I'm the one having my experience over here. And you, as the operant power, you have total sovereignty. No secondary power. There's nothing out there beyond you that's deciding for you what's true for you, what can happen for you. You're the only one thinking. You're the only one believing. You're the only one making meaning out of everything. But you are doing it from that greater seat of I am, that eternal I am, the I am that is God, that is everything, that is connected to everyone and everything. And when you really understand that as the operant power, just as a foundation, that makes it easier to switch. Just the knowing of that, the trusting of that alone makes it easier to switch out of a negative state into a better state. Because again, you are just naturally more objective. When you really trust yourself as the operant power, you can see everything is just an option. It's just an option for experience. Even the wish fulfilled is technically not greater or worse than any other experience. It just happens to be your preferred experience. But it's not, your identity isn't contingent on it. Your identity isn't contingent on anything physically manifesting, or it's not contingent on any role that you play, because you, as the big I am, you exist far beyond any of the conditions, any of the circumstances of this life. And your negative states, the feelings you have, the thoughts you have that come with that state, those are just temporary experiences. Those are not you. So again, just that alone, just being able to be objective and be like, yeah, me feeling angry at my SP today, me feeling like I'm a victim today, I am not that. That is just an experience that I've slipped into. That's just an experience that I've slipped into. So when it comes to getting out of that state, the more you are objective, that's amazing. But the next piece is to have total acceptance of that state. Because again, it's one of those weird paradoxes of manifesting, that the more you are not threatened by anything, where you really know you are that powerful, that even if you did create something weird in your 3D, that doesn't define you. You can create again. You, as long as you are here in this consciousness, this specific consciousness, you can create again and again and again as many times as you want. Nothing is ever done until you say it's done, because you're the operant power. So this just reminds me, I really want you to stop being so freaked out by the negative things that you create or your negative states of being. Because again, the more you are like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I feel this way. Oh my God, this is so bad. The more you are reacting to yourself as if it's like, whoa, this thing I'm in, this thing I created that's bad, this is real. It's really big and real, and I'm really reacting to it. I'm making a lot of meaning to it. My I am is giving this so much power, because I'm so I feel like this bad thing is so real, and I'm just like, whoa, it's so real. I hope this is making sense. So yeah, when you see yourself as the true operant power that simply has a limited amount of experiences that you could choose for yourself, and all of them are interchangeable. You can step in and out of realities, in and out of roles anytime you want. It's all up to you. It's all your own decision. It's all just in your consciousness. It becomes a lot easier to naturally be like, oh, this is just a state. It's just a old, probably habitual state, because you've probably done this before. Usually these negative states or whatever, they come up because they're, one, quite familiar to us, and two, because they probably are our old identity that's trying to like bring you back to it. It doesn't want to die yet. It doesn't really want you to go fully into your new identity, your new role that you're choosing, your new I am that is the preferred experience that you'd like to have instead of this old one. So again, the more you can be totally non-threatened by it, the more you can catch yourself in terms of being like, oh, I see what I'm doing. The greater I am, that is me, that has total, just clear visibility on all of this, because I know that none of this is me. I am a greater eternal I am, and all of this is just stuff that I am choosing and playing out. I can just see this as just a simple thing I slipped into. It's not a big deal. And I can also accept it. But I mean, when I say accept, I mean accept it in a very particular way. I mean accept it in that you're not giving any threatening meaning to it. You're not saying, oh, I accept it, and I also accept that it's probably true. Like, it's not that kind of acceptance where you're like, oh, I just accept that that's true, that this negative thing that I'm believing is probably true. It's more of an acceptance of like, I can just accept that this is just happening right now. I can just accept that I feel this way right now. But I also, and this is the important part, that's kind of the third step here, I guess, if we're on, third step or whatever, is you are accepting it, but acknowledging that whatever you're thinking and feeling that is the lack is not true. This is a part of your mental diet, is you are very consciously calling out, okay, this is happening. I can see it. I can feel it. It's all from that old state, that habitual lack state that I tend to go into a lot. But I can also just call it for what it is. It's just a state. It's not that big a deal. It's just an option for experience that I habitually slip back into. And I know it doesn't define me. I know it doesn't even threaten me, because I can choose in any moment any other number of experiences, or I should say any other number of identities, any number of other roles I can remember for myself. Like, I can choose a different role, even if these old feelings are still over here. So this is really important. So next, you are stepping into remembering this unconditional self-concept of, even with these old things playing out over here, these old emotions and thoughts, I consciously, in my I am power, am consciously choosing that I am loved. I am unconditionally loved. I'm unconditionally chosen. I am not defined by this random lack state that I've entered into. But here's the thing, this is also part of the acceptance thing. When you are acknowledging your new I am, your new preferred experience, your new preferred identity, whatever you want to call it, you're not choosing it in a way that's like pushing away the old. This is what I mean by acceptance. Because, and I get it's a paradox, everything seems to be in manifestation. Because when you try to push it, because you're like, can't have that, that's threatening to me, I don't want it, it's bad, that's not really you being accepting. That's you, again, still in resistance. You're still feeling threatened. If you're trying to push that away, you are still threatened by it. You're still giving it meaning that says this bad thing, it's real, it's very threatening to me, I really need it to be gone. The more you need the state to be gone, the more it's going to persist. It's like that saying, what you resist persists. That is very true. So you need to get out of resistance of this old state and instead just accept it for what it is, but at the same time, very consciously in your mind, remembering I am still loved. I know who I am. I know that I'm unconditionally loved. I don't need to do anything perfect. I don't need to even manifest perfect, because I am not my manifestations. This is also a really big thing, because I think the people that struggle the most with slipping into negative states or lack states or whatever, it's usually because you have your manifestations on such a pedestal that you are accidentally self-abandoning to try to get that external change. And when you are in a state of putting the manifestation on a bigger pedestal than you put yourself, you are going to naturally, it creates tension in you, and you're going to naturally be purging up like that, those emotions that come with so much self-denial. Like when you've been just pushing against yourself for so long, you're gonna, it's like that deeper part of you that wants your validation again is gonna fight back. And so it's just something I've noticed, that people who, they forget, or they just don't know yet, that all of this manifestation stuff is not really about changing the external. You hear that all the time. There's no one to change but self. This is about changing your relationship to that person, place, or thing that you are manifesting. It is not about how do I be perfect in myself so I can get the world to change. If that's how you're trying to approach this, you're going to be in a lot of suffering. This is not going to go well. It's not going to be sustainable. The more that you are trying to do something to get something. And I know I talked about this, I think in the first thing I posted on this YouTube channel. So the more that you approach your practice as more of an authentic self-care in some ways, because you're realizing, wow, if I have a desire for someone, it's my job to get into fulfillment around that. It's my job to take care of myself in relation to that person. I need to make myself know that I'm so safe in my love for that person, and that it's safe for me to love them, and that I can even expect them to love me back. And I can be very specific about the experience that I have in my love for that person. But it's not about forcing that person to change so that you can feel better later. That approach never works. I've been doing this long enough that I've never seen that approach work. You might get temporary movement or, results if you are manifesting from lack like that, I guess I would say. But in terms of like sustainable results, especially when it comes to relationships, you need to remember this is all about you feeling safety within yourself to actually accept that love that you have for that person, and not make it about what they've done to you in the past or the realities you used to be in with that person. So again, this is a little bit of a tangent, but it's just to say that if you often go into a negative state, especially about a particular person, an SP, that can often be a sign that there's something within yourself that you are self-denying, you're self-abandoning, and parts of you are kind of fighting back to get your validation back, to get your primary focus back, because your primary focus should always be on worshiping you, the creator, not worshiping your manifestations. Those are just the after effects of you genuinely loving yourself, genuinely having very high self-concept, very high self-esteem, just a very high self-identity where you just know that you are so loved, you are so chosen, and it's not conditional on anything. It's not conditional on you being fit. It's not conditional on you being super positive all the time. It's not conditional on you being in a good mood all the time. Who wants to be in a relationship where it's like, yeah, my person only sticks around if I'm in a good mood all the time and I'm super confident? That doesn't sound fun, because that feels like a lot of pressure. So manifesting is the same way. The more you can, again, be non-threatened by that state and not be trying to force it to go. So it's, again, one of the ironies of this question in itself, like asking the question of like, how do I lose a bad state? How do I get out of a bad state? Just the nature of that question itself is actually technically kind of wrong. Not really wrong, but it's like, because the more you're trying to force it away, the more it's going to persist and fight back. And the more you can be so objective, accepting, but at the same time in your mental diet, reminding yourself of who you are, even with this temporary feeling that's come upon you, that is going to help you to more easily and naturally have the state shift without you trying to force against it. And this reminds me of the other thing that I was going to say. So when you're reminding yourself of the new identity that you are creating, that you are embodying, that you are practicing, and this is also where I'll just say coaching can be helpful, because it'll depend on, like, the thing to say to yourself in this moment is going to depend on you and what tends to be like the biggest issue for you, or the thing that, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but like the thing that you might most need to hear that's particular to you in that moment. For some of you, you totally can go straight to affirming that, yeah, SP loves me, he loves me even if I am in this state. But some of you need to just focus totally on self-concept in terms of being like, I just know unconditionally I'm chosen no matter what. And again, that will be different for different people, and even at different times, just depending on what you need. So, oh, the thing I was going to say. See, this is just how it is here. There's a lot of tangents and thoughts all over the place. But the thing I was going to say is, when you're reminding yourself of this new identity, your new knowing of like, I'm unconditionally chosen no matter what, and I just know it, you are not saying that to force your feelings to change. And this is why, or this is where, I guess, I feel like I have the biggest beef with law of attraction or law of attraction type teachings, because I just know from experience that the more you try to force your feelings to change and make it all about your feelings, like, oh, I gotta be high vibe and feel super good and positive, and oh my God, I gotta force this, I can't be in this is bad for everything. It's like you're going to just keep it stuck. You're going to keep yourself, so the more you fight it, the more you're going to keep it stuck. And I do agree that you do obviously want to feel good most of the time. But ironically, the way to feel good most of the time is to not be in judgment of yourself when you don't feel good. The more you can just, accept that it's like, that's how I feel right now. But consciously, I'm reminding myself that these old habitual meanings that have been attached to the way that I feel, those aren't true. What's actually true is this. So all the old thoughts that habitually were connected to the feeling, I don't agree with those anymore. What I agree with is this: I am so chosen. I am so amazing. SP loves me, whatever it is. And your feelings, you're not trying to force those to change. Those are going to naturally adjust, and probably much more easily adjust the more you just stop making the feelings mean anything, and the more you're trying to push them away. In fact, the more you can be very self-honoring of how you feel, in terms of being like, yeah, it's okay that I feel this way today. I'm human and I deserve my own love and my own attention, and I do not make this mean anything bad. That's going to help. That's what's going to help you the most. Not trying to force it to change because you're so afraid if you don't feel good, you're not going to get your manifestation. That's just keeping the lack even more lacky. Whew. Okay. I think I covered everything I wanted to say in this particular video. Let me know in the comments though, how you have dealt with this, in terms of like how you've dealt with yourself of when you slip into lack states or negative states or whatever you want to call it. And also let me know what other questions you have, and I will see if I can answer your questions in upcoming videos. So let me know what's on your mind in terms of questions about manifestation. So yeah, and as I said before, there's lots of fun links down below for you to click on. Please remember to like and subscribe this video, and I will see you very soon in my next one. All right, bye.